This is the YT-1300 light freighter manufactured by the Corellian Engineering Corporation. Due to the ship known as the Millennium Falcon, whose exploits have been immortalized in the Star Wars movie franchise, the YT-1300 is immediately recognized across the galaxy. Today, we'll be exploring the internal layout of this iconic ship. It's well known by those that have studied the ship that the layout of the interior that's portrayed in the movies simply doesn't work when you try to align it with the outside reference points of the ship, such as the entrance ramp, the cockpit, and the gun turrets. This problem was beautifully illustrated by Stinson Lentz on his deeply obsessed block spot, who overlaid scale drawings of the interior movie set and the exterior of the ship. Thanks to the fortuitous discovery of a collection of archived data files from the Corellian Engineering Company, we can now see how the interior of the ship was actually laid out. Let's strip away the outer hull so we can examine the interior layout of the ship. We'll start at the center of the ship with the central crossing tunnel. This tunnel is located directly aft of the dorsal and ventral gun emplacements, which are accessed from this tunnel. Here you can see the relationship of the central tunnel to the gun turrets. This central crossing tunnel and the location of the gun turret access is probably the most significant feature of the YT-1300 that is misrepresented in the movie franchise. In the movies, the crew is shown accessing the gun turrets from the semicircular connecting tunnel directly across from the cockpit access tunnel. With the gun access in that location, the gun turrets would have to be located to the starboard side of the ship's center line. Extending outboard from the central crossing tunnel are the port and starboard docking ring tunnels. These tunnels are not represented at all in the movie sets. The landing egress ramp is actually located in the starboard docking ring tunnel. Here we see the egress ramp in the deployed position. With the external hull stripped away, you can see that the ramp actually consists of a two-part ramp system that is not depicted in the movies. When retracted, the upper ramp section becomes the deck surface of the docking ring access tunnel. When viewed from the interior through the airlock door, you can see that during ground operations with the egress ramp extended, access to the starboard docking ring hatch is cut off. But when the ship is underway, the upper ramp section closes flush with the deck, allowing for full access to the docking ring. Next up is the cockpit and cockpit access tunnel. A subtle point that is left out of the movies is the upward slope of the cockpit access tunnel. This is due to the cockpit being situated above the level of the main deck. The slope can be seen here looking towards the cockpit. That brings us to the main forward and aft hold sections. Note the thickened area of the forward hold that is accommodated by the upper and lower mandible sections. This allows headroom for an extended deck area in the center of the forward hold. While the remaining spaces to the outer edge of the dish are accessible engineering spaces, the limited clearance in these areas requires the crew to either stoop or crawl to work there. The forward hold includes two berths, as well as a single stateroom cabin on the port side with its own berth. The aft hold is dominated by the main engineering space, with a pair of single-berth stateroom cabins located on either side. On some variants, the stateroom bulkheads are omitted in order to provide a larger, continuous cargo space. Filling in some of the structural components gives you a feel for how the ship is constructed around the interior compartments. As you can see, while the movies provide a good feel for the interior of the ship, they're not entirely accurate. Between the fact that the filmmakers had to rely on very old and imperfect data from a galaxy far away, and budget pressures to construct fewer and more versatile sets for filming, it's understandable that there would be some inaccuracies in the resulting movies. The painstaking recovery and preservation of these long-lost archive data files provides us with a window to the reality behind the iconic YT-1300 and the legendary stories of those who flew aboard the Millennium Falcon a long time ago in a galaxy far away.